Good morning, everyone. Jane Monreal here. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We're almost to the end of the week. It's a Thursday morning and starting out in Charlotte with a beautiful day, heating up towards this weekend. Want to get to an interview that I did with Congressman Jared Huffman. Give you some background information here. Last week, if you were with our live stream, I believe it was last Wednesday, something like it was middle of next week, right? So the Natural Resources Committee met. We took that hearing live here on WCNC Plus. They talked about H.R. 276, also known as the Gulf of America Act, where there is a bill to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Well, in this hearing, you think these hearings are somewhat kind of benign and boring, but we heard from Congressman Jared Huffman. Now on our radar because some of the comments he made were quite colorful and spicy. Carr says, yes, totally spicy. So, you know what? We just went to him straight and said, we'd love to talk to you. Who is this guy and why make these comments? You're going to know more about this. We had to meet with him via Zoom because he is back in California, so Pacific time. We recorded this yesterday afternoon. I want to play this whole thing for you right now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, a bill recently introduced in Congress has sparked both controversy and bemused reactions across Washington. It's House Resolution 276. You might know it as the Gulf of America Act that's proposing to rename the Gulf of Mexico, and it is generating waves far beyond geographic circles. One of the most colorful responses came from California Congressman Jared Huffman during last week's Natural Resources Committee hearing, which we played and streamed on WCNC Plus, and he offered his own alternative naming suggestions. Congressman Huffman joining us now via Zoom from California, discussing this unusual legislative proposal. First of all, Congressman Huffman, thanks for being with us today from there on the West Coast. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Walk us through a little bit your initial reaction when you first read H.R. 276, proposing the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America.
You know, I've been surprised at so many things we've seen in this Congress where members of Congress, which is supposed to be an independent branch of government, just seem to think their job is to work for Donald Trump and to constantly kiss up and curry favor to this man in an almost cultish way. And so this is one of those, but it's not the only one. I mean, it's not a serious policy proposal to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico. It's just trying to make Donald Trump happy. But we've also seen bills to put Donald Trump's face on the $100 bill. We've seen actual legislation to put Donald Trump's head on Mount Rushmore. We've seen any number of other things. And I guess the point I was trying to make with my sarcastic suggestion that we just cut to the chase and rename the entire planet Trump is that there's serious work that this Congress should be doing right now. I mean, the economy is imploding. Costs are off the charts for Americans trying to afford housing and groceries and so many other things. This trade war is causing havoc. And we're spending our time trying to rename things to please Donald Trump. That's just crazy.
Yeah, so for our viewers who missed last week's hearing, want to play this bit when you did propose renaming the Gulf of Mexico to maybe even perhaps the Gulf of Ignorance and open to some friendly amendments. Let's play that now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If Republicans on this committee are serious about renaming the Gulf of Mexico, we should at least be honest about what is driving all this. My amendment proposes that rather than calling it the Gulf of America, we acknowledge what this bill truly represents, which is a departure from science, history, and common sense. We should call it the Gulf of Ignorance. Now, I acknowledge that there could be a robust debate about other words that one could put in place of ignorance. And I would accept friendly amendments from folks who might have a case to be made that it should be the Gulf of incompetence, maybe the Gulf of arrogance, delusion, bootlicking sycophancy, strong case to be made that that would be appropriate, or maybe the Gulf of alienating our allies and neighbors. But the bottom line is, I agree with the majority of Americans who've been polled on this. The Gulf of Mexico doesn't need a different name.
Congressman Huffman, I mean, these comments obviously got our attention. Sponsored by Representative Green, who just dealt with a little bit of drama there with today's town hall in her own Georgia district. What do you think motivated this particular legislative effort at this time then?
Well, it's pretty clear. The motivation is to try to curry favor with Donald Trump. I mean, there is this cult that has developed, unfortunately, in one political party in our country right now. It's all about one man. It's all about his whims, his ego, what pleases him. It's unlike anything I've ever seen in the history of this country, almost unrecognizable, really, in a country where we're supposed to have a republic, not a monarchy with a king.
You did suggest, and you talked about it just a minute ago, about renaming the planet from Earth to Trump. Let's listen to part of that from last week.
If we're going to waste this committee's time just to glorify one man's ego, I propose that we at least be efficient about this, right? I mean, that's the theme of the day, efficiency from Doge and others. And so the great Wayne Gretzky once said, you don't skate to where the puck is, you skate to where it's going to be. And my amendment tries to do that. I mean, why do all of this Trump glorification in a piecemeal manner? Why not cut to the chase? And I am proposing that we rename the entire planet Trump.
Pretty funny there. But geographic naming, it's not the first time, right, that we've seen that in politics. But I guess the point you're making is where to draw the line.
Well, and I'm also trying to make the point that none of this should be about one man's whims. So this is a president who wants to rename the Gulf of Mexico in some display of nationalism where we would call it the Gulf of America. Nobody wants to do that. There have been polls on this. Not even people in the Gulf states. They overwhelmingly, to the tune of 70%, think we don't need to do this. We shouldn't do it. Meanwhile, he wants to go back to the old name for the largest mountain in Alaska, Mount Denali. He wants to go back to calling it Mount McKinley. Overwhelmingly, the people of Alaska, including Republicans in Alaska, want to call it Denali, which is its traditional name. But Donald Trump has his own ideas. And so, you know, it's almost, that's why I say it's almost unrecognizable, this country, this America that we are becoming, if we're going to allow one man to act like a king where his whims and dictates carry the day and even carry the day over what the public wants.
And for the record, you did withdraw that amendment, renaming it Trump.
Yeah. Look, this was a deeply unserious bill. It was a deeply unserious hearing, and so why not have deeply unserious amendments to try to make some of these points? That's where I was going.
I just learned actually, a fellow member there for the Committee of Natural Resources, Addison McDowell, is an alum of UNC Charlotte. And what was the reaction from colleagues like him, who's a Republican, on both sides of the aisle to your comments and this bill in general?
I haven't talked to any of my Republican colleagues, but I would say this. There are serious things affecting the Carolinas right now that we ought to be talking about and working on. You know, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, the most visited park in the country, and the Appalachian Trail are still closed because of Hurricane Helene's impacts. Hurricane Helene, by the way, that was made a lot worse because of the climate crisis that this president believes is not a real thing. At a time when we're trying to get these parks and these public resources back open, they are dramatically cutting funding for national parks. And so it's going to be a terrible summer in a place that depends on recreation as an important part of the economy. We should be talking about things like that, and instead we're trying to rename things and please the great cult leader.
Yeah, I was going to say NOAA was something you mentioned last week, that some of the attention should be to that. Of course, in the Carolinas, we deal with hurricane season, which we are coming up on towards the end of May, right?
Absolutely. You talk about a part of the country that is uniquely at stake when we talk about the climate crisis. And, you know, in places like Hatteras, your viewers know that the climate crisis is real. This is not a hoax. These are real homes collapsing into the Atlantic Ocean because of sea level rise and extreme weather. So we're taking a dangerous turn with our climate policy, with all of the destruction that Elon Musk and these Doge folks are wreaking in our federal agencies, and to have it happen at a place like NOAA, where we all depend on accurate weather forecasting and science and critical services. Gosh, for a place like South Carolina, North Carolina, this should be what everybody's talking about.
Absolutely. Any way to take that turn for constructive alternatives for the things that matter that the committee should be focusing on?
Well, I'm in the minority in this Congress, as you know, so, you know, we have to use the limited tools that we have to try to redirect the conversation back to those things. But we're trying in every way that we can. We're having shadow hearings. You know, when we debate bills like the absurd bill to rename the Gulf of Mexico, we try to bring it back to things like the climate crisis and what's happening in NOAA with the loss of accurate weather forecasting and climate science. And we'll just keep doing that. I'm grateful that you're giving me a chance to talk about some of those things now.
Absolutely. Congressman Jared Huffman from California talking on points regarding the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America Act, H.R. 276, but also things that are not in, per se, your geographic region, but do affect Americans across our country.
Yeah, I represent a coastal community, and I know coastal communities on the Atlantic coast face some of the same threats and concerns that I do out here in California.
All right. Appreciate your time. I'm headed that way in a few days, so looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congressman Jared Huffman. Appreciate it. All right, went to the source live there on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Want to give you a little bit of a developing news here when it comes to the immigration policy from the president and the Trump administration, and the drama that's going on about the deportation of a man in the case of Kilmer Abrego Garcia back to a prison in El Salvador. There are a new set of documents released revealing new details about the administrative error that the government lawyer is calling an administrative lawyer error, that is, because of the release of this guy back to El Salvador. And in the following days and yesterday, Maryland Senator Chris Van Nolen has also gone to El Salvador to visit him himself and the prison. We played some comments yesterday when he was at the airport ready to board a flight. He is now in El Salvador, and he just posted his latest post on X. This was about 11 hours ago. We want to play that for you now here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Back-to-back meetings here in El Salvador with our team from the American Embassy, with the Vice President of El Salvador, with human rights groups. And the entire purpose has been to bring Abrego Garcia home, because U.S. courts have determined that he was illegally abducted from the United States and now finds himself in the most notorious prison in El Salvador. The Supreme Court, 9-0, has told the Trump administration they must facilitate his return home. They've refused to do it. So I called upon the government of El Salvador to do it unless they can provide evidence that he's been involved in MS-13. They said they had no evidence. So this is not about MS-13. I know President Trump wants to make this about gang violence. I have been fighting MS-13 probably longer than Donald Trump even knew about MS-13. I care about every victim of crime. That's why we have a court system to hold people accountable when they commit crimes, to make sure that they get the punishment they deserve. We also have a court system to make sure that people who have not committed crimes or not been convicted of crimes are not disappeared out of the United States and sent to a notorious prison in El Salvador, like Abrego Garcia. This is simply about letting him have his day in court. We use the courts to make sure that we don't convict people who are not guilty and that we convict those who are.
And more information for you this morning. The Justice Department now sharing these records not previously made public, detailing how police officers in Maryland back in 2019 assessed that Abrego Garcia was part of MS-13. He had no criminal history at the time. Those documents also state that his attorneys denied that he is a gang member, and it just details how the police department there in Prince George's County, also in 2019, when they approached Abrego Garcia, he was with 3 others at the Home Depot parking lot, loitering at the Hyattsville parking lot in Georgia for Labor Day work. So that's the latest information we have there. The standoff also between the Trump administration and the federal courts has intensified. We'll get the latest now from Alice Barr in Washington.
The clash between the Trump administration and the federal courts reaching a new level, with one federal judge saying he'll start criminal contempt proceedings against the administration for willfully disregarding his order to halt last month's deportation flights to an El Salvador mega prison unless the migrants are given hearings to challenge the allegations against them. Judge James Boasberg writing, the Constitution does not tolerate willful disobedience of judicial orders. The White House appealing while providing new information about one of the deported men, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who Justice Department officials admitted was sent to El Salvador through an administrative error. The Supreme Court ruled the administration must facilitate his return, though the administration argues El Salvador would need to initiate his release.
All that would happen is one more step in paperwork and he would go right back to El Salvador because he is an MS-13 member.
The Justice Department released a 2019 document showing Maryland police linked Abrego Garcia to the violent MS-13 gang through what they called a reliable informant. His attorneys have called that testimony questionable, denying any gang affiliation. Abrego Garcia has never been criminally charged. He's been living with his family in Maryland, and one of the state's Democratic senators traveled to El Salvador yesterday and said he asked the country's vice president why he has not been released.
And his answer was that essentially the Trump administration is paying the government of El Salvador taxpayer money to keep this person.
Senator Van Hollen among those calling for a day in court. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
I think it's unsustainable.
Well, the deportation controversy certainly has a lot of people asking questions about its legality. Yesterday on WCNC Plus during Live Impact Studio in the afternoon, we did get some perspective from a local professor from Catawba College, political science professor, Dr. Michael Bitzer. He weighs in every now and then when it comes to politics and how this works. He says the courts could end up holding the administration in contempt for this case as well. We talked to him. Here are his comments now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
We're here to talk about the developments surrounding Kilmar Abrego Garcia. This was the man from Maryland who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador, is being held in a prison there. And we haven't really seen a lot of movement lately to try to get him back here to the United States, despite a Supreme Court decision basically siding with orders that he be brought back to the U.S. We have Dr. Michael Bitzer here, professor of political science with Catawba College. So we wanted to talk about, really at this point, how the courts would go ahead and enforce this to be done given that we haven't really seen any, as we mentioned, outward movement to try to comply with the orders?
Correct. And this would be ultimately up to the judge that is overseeing this particular case. The U.S. Supreme Court gave the judge the authority to facilitate the return. She has been questioning government lawyers as to how this process is going to unfold. I think that there's some honest stonewalling going on by the government in this particular case. And so now the question becomes, what can a judge do to compel the government to be able to bring this person back to the United States? I think, there are a variety of things, but the main thing most of us are watching is, will the judge hold the government or government officials in civil contempt, meaning that she could potentially impose fines and or potentially ask for individuals to be jailed. This is bordering on a real constitutional question regarding the power of the courts versus the power of the executive branch.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up just now the fact that a lot of folks are not only honed in on this situation itself with this gentleman from Maryland, but also the fact that this could have potential implications on, basically how our government as we know it is set up to run as far as checks and balances. So you'd mentioned this potential of civil contempt that's being weighed. How does that work? And are there any caveats to this actually playing out?
Right. Well, we have seen in the past judges hold government officials in contempt, hold the government actually in contempt, hold departments, agencies have been held in contempt by previous judges. I think where we are pushing up against the line in terms of a real constitutional issue at hand is, will the other side, the executive branch, recognize and respect the power of the courts? And I think this is where the real question lies. If a judge was to issue a civil contempt against a government official, the judge would have to utilize federal marshals to execute that particular contempt order. And federal marshals fall under the power of the Department of Justice, which is an executive branch agency, but they have been recognized as carrying out the law as determined by the judicial branch. Now, the judicial branch could also utilize a third party to try and execute and enforce this civil contempt. I hope that we do not get to that point in time, but this is raising real issues of whether we are a rule of law-based government or a rule by men based government. And our Constitution is clearly designed to be a rule of law system.
Just have so many questions, as we get down the chain of processes, because you mentioned the marshals, and that's DOJ, and of course we have the person who is heading up that department, an appointee, of course, of the president. So if let's just say marshals don't decide that they're going to comply with this, or there's some way that gets the kibosh, like, what then? What happens after that?
Well, a judge could certainly pursue perhaps a third party, maybe call upon local law enforcement that would not be under the jurisdiction of the federal government and the executive branch to carry out the civil contempt. We're in kind of some entering potentially dangerous waters. I hope that it doesn't get to this point. There will probably be most likely appeals of any contempt order that is imposed, and that could work its way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. But the U.S. Supreme Court in 1911 made it very clear that the power to issue contempt orders and the power to enforce judicial orders is something that is inherently a component of judicial power in this country. And if individuals choose to ignore or to try and circumvent those judicial orders, the question then becomes, do we recognize the power of the U.S. Constitution and the power of the rule of law? I think, this is, we've got a ways to go in all of this, but this is setting up for a potential true constitutional battle and crisis if there is, willingly disregarding a judicial order or an attempt to enforce a judicial order.
Well, clearly, if there is this, you mentioned the 1911 ruling, there is some precedent here for this being maybe questioned, or I'm just kind of curious, in the historical context, when else have we seen this issue come up before?
I think the most prominent one related to ultimately the power of the presidency is the Nixon tapes back during the Watergate event. President Nixon refused to hand over tapes from the Oval Office to both a special prosecutor and ultimately to a Senate committee investigating the Watergate break-in. And that case went up to the U.S. Supreme Court and basically said, in certain circumstances, the president does have the ability to withhold material from the judiciary, but in this kind of situation, it is not the power of the president to ignore a court ruling. And basically what happened was public opinion sided with the court against Nixon, and ultimately he had to resign. I think we are seeing a replay of that mentality of whatever the president says is the law of the land. And that is very dangerous territory for a democratic republic.
Do you think that in this case, public opinion would make a difference? Because, we've been seeing, obviously, more on the Democratic side, because we know there's the senator from Maryland who's now traveled to El Salvador to try to get some answers. But, do you think that would make a difference if we hear more people speaking up from outside of the administration, or maybe even within the administration, about this case?
I think certainly public pressure and public opinion can weigh some power on the presidency and on the president, but we are in very divided partisan times. We are highly polarized, and the likelihood is public opinion, while it may be against the president, it will not be in overwhelming numbers. It will probably be very tight in terms of who disagrees with the president versus who agrees with the president. And for the most part, what we have seen is public opinion on the Republican side stand firmly behind President Trump. Those who identify as Democrats tend to be in lockstep opposition. And those folks in the middle, the independents, will have to see where they fall in terms of this, and if it gets the kind of notoriety that calls into question our system of government.
Yeah, very interesting times, and obviously topic for so many folks who are really, really focused on this issue for all of its implications. Dr. Michael Bitzer, we really appreciate your time as always and your insights. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And that was our Vanessa Rufus talking to Dr. Michael Bitzer. Want to get to some breaking news right now. Take you out to Newton in North Carolina. Our crew is headed to this scene. You're looking at a map right now where we are learning of a heavy police presence that will affect things on NC 16. We're hearing that traffic is really jammed there. This is happening around the 1600 block of Fisher Court. Businesses nearby say that traffic is pretty much blocked off everywhere, and Newton Police as well as Catawba Sheriff's deputies are here with a large police presence. We're hearing that shots may have been fired, so police situation. We are working to get more information as our Kevin Wardlaw, photojournalist, and Miles Harris, again, heading to the scene. We will keep you updated here on WCNC Plus as soon as we learn more, but major delays around this area in Newton. Want to get you an update as well on the McDowell County fire. As of 8 o'clock this morning, this initially reported, by the way, Tuesday afternoon around 5 o'clock. Still an evacuation order in effect for Wild Acres Road. This is off NC 226A, so that is south of Little Switzerland in McDowell County. And you're looking at some pictures now, the latest images from McDowell County fire rescue crews that are on there. 0% contained. We're looking at about 300 acres burned so far. And as they work to contain this, at least we are hearing that this is, for the most part, a rugged area north of Armstrong Creek Road, again in McDowell County. So forestry officials will release another update on the acreage and containment numbers later this morning. We will pass that along to you as soon as we learn more. But that is the latest update. Evacuation order remains in effect in McDowell County due to the Bee Rock fire. All right, we are off to a busy start this morning here on Live Impact News. That fire, that McDowell County is in the area, Carlene.
Yes, past Morganton.
Past Morganton.
So before Asheville.
Okay, so that would have been
an area
in the
affected by
hotbed. Exactly. Our Jesse Pierre also went to Chimney Rock and talked to the mayor there about some of the ongoing recovery efforts following the devastation from Helene. Let's listen to this interview now, live on Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Perfect. How long have you been the mayor here?
I've been mayor on kind of 2 go-rounds, but a total of about 25 years.
And how long have you been in Chimney Rock?
We have lived here since 1990, so 35 years now.
What does Chimney Rock Village mean to you, Chimney Rock in general?
Well, it's my home. It's the home of my kids and my grandkids. It's the place where I started my married life. It's the place where I started my business 33 years ago. So there are a lot of milestones here for me. I moved here to work at Chimney Rock Park when it was privately owned at the time, and moved here for the job, and it was a great job. But then after a couple of years when I left the park, I realized that not only was the job and the park great, but the whole village was great. And I just didn't want to leave. And you hear that over and over from people that live here and people that visit here. It's got a magical draw to it that once you get here, you just want to come back or you want to stay.
You know, when the storm hit, did you think it was going to be this bad? Like, what were you thinking before it hit?
Well, I was actually on vacation. I was at Tybee Island, Georgia when the storm hit, and none of us thought it was going to be this bad. I mean, none of us could have imagined. And a lot of people, in fact, earlier in the week, we thought, you know, we might get some flooding, we might get some high water, but we've been through floods before. We had a 100-year flood in 1996, what we thought was a 100-year flood, not realizing that on that September morning that we were going to be hit with a 1,000-year flood. Just something that honestly none of us could have imagined.
You know, talk to me about the devastation here and looking at it and watching it and seeing it when you first.
Well, it's when I saw pictures. I was out of town and I started, of course, communicating with the fire department and the other officials here in town. And I saw the pictures, I saw the videos, but then coming into town and seeing it firsthand, it was so dramatic and so unbelievable that it was hard to imagine that it had actually happened. Even though I'm seeing it firsthand, I'm thinking still that this cannot be real. You know, surely there's something that I'm missing that's going to make this not be as bad as it is. But of course, when you dig into it, you realize, you know, we've been dealt a tremendous blow, a devastating blow.
And kind of break down, like, I don't know if you have, what are the estimates of like houses and, you know, talk to me about some of the damage that.
Well, the damage was, it was truly catastrophic for Chimney Rock Village, and I compare it sometimes. It's an odd situation though, because you can literally go 2 or 3 miles away and everybody's totally recovered from the storm, and you can't even tell a storm happened. But then you come down here and you see this devastation that we're still trying to rebuild from and overcome. But we had 4 vehicle bridges and 1 pedestrian bridge in town that were all washed away. We had 30% of our business community literally wash away. We had our biggest employer, biggest draw, Chimney Rock Park, be completely closed. We have the whole town completely closed, and we have been since the storm for 6 months now. So we've had 100% unemployment. Over 30 homes washed away, just numerous vehicles, campers from the campgrounds, camping cabins. It's just, you know, when you start going through the numbers, it's mind-boggling. And part of the problem too is, like I said, we've been shut down and out of business since the storm, and we are still out of business. And that's something we hope to rectify very soon. But you know, we've got to get going again so we can start returning to normal.
You know, when we're talking about like the work that's being done, like, you know, I see everywhere volunteers working and coming and so forth. Talk to me about how that has helped where and to, you know, even put you where you are today, and kind of talk to me about the progress. Well,
the progress, it's an interesting story because it's a tale of 2 projects, if you will, in the sense that when we look around, we still see just tremendous damage and realize it's going to take a long time to build it back. But at the same time, we've made tremendous progress, and that is very encouraging. It's very heartwarming. It keeps us all going to see the number of volunteers and the number of people that have reached out to help us. We've had, since the storm, well over 2,000 volunteers come through the Spokes of Hope organization that is organizing the volunteers. We've had just tons of supplies donated. You know, all of the building material that's going into rebuilding these stores has been donated up to this point, and it's just been a tremendous recovery story that is ongoing. And I have to just shout out to Spokes of Hope. They have done such a tremendous job, and we are so blessed, because if they hadn't shown up and started to rebuild us and continued to rebuild us, we would be in a totally different boat now. Chimney Rock's future would be very uncertain. And as it is, with their help and the help of so many other volunteers, our future, while it's still a work in progress, it's much, much brighter than it could have been.
Now, your business is down this street as well, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So now, is it even open? Can you even get in there?
No businesses are open at this point because.
I meant open the door. Like, is it?
Oh yeah, no, we can get in.
Okay.
All of the businesses are being rebuilt.
Now, talk to me about the damage in your business specifically.
Right, and I will say this: pretty much 100% of the businesses in town were damaged to some degree. And our business, Bubba O'Leary's General Store, the business I've run for 33 years, part of it, one of the buildings was completely destroyed and we had to tear it down, and the other building was heavily damaged, but it is being repaired. And we hope to have that open early summer. That's our goal, is to have the village to the point where we can allow businesses to reopen sometime in the early summer.
And I know you mentioned it already, but what would that mean for Chimney Rock Village to start seeing some foot traffic and?
You know, to get the village open again and to get Chimney Rock Park open again is a small step, but at the same time, it's such a vital step for the recovery of this village. Everybody here is a small business. None of us have corporate backing or corporate money. We're just struggling to survive year after year, and to be open, to allow people to come through our doors and to sell them merchandise or serve them a meal, you know, that's going to mean the world to these businesses, and that's going to be that first major step really on our road to recovery. That's a pretty strong wind all of a sudden.
Yes. I just hope that this has been high enough. made it worse.
Uh-oh.
There we go. You know, when it comes to, so when we're talking about the work that's been done, you know, you said some of the businesses they've been re-gutted and rebuilding work is being done there. Kind of talk to me about some other stuff that's being done.
Well, the business community is being rebuilt by the volunteers, and then the main infrastructure as far as water and sewer and roads, we are using a contractor and state money to rebuild the sewer system and the water system, and then the highway system and the bridges are being rebuilt by North Carolina DOT. And all of those groups, every group involved in this recovery has been doing just an amazing job. I mean, I can't say enough about DOT's efforts and our contractor on the water and sewer. They are amazing how they came in and just hit the ground running, and they have been working so efficiently, so quickly to get us back up, and it is amazing to see. But I also have to say, as soon as I say that they've done such remarkable work, it's just such a huge project. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's going to take years and years for all of this to be finished.
And that's what I was going to ask. Okay, so even though your goal is to open to some level, and I don't know what percentage of it in the summer, but really when we're talking about Chimney Rock Village being completely back, years and years?
Well, yes, it's going to take years and years for us to get back, but I want to encourage people to continue to support us and continue to visit.
We're going to put a pin in that interview with the mayor of Chimney Rock, talking about the recovery efforts from Helene. But want to get you out to some breaking news right now. This is our sister station in Houston, our content partner there, live over a fire at a warehouse in Northwest Houston. You're looking at live pictures now. We are waiting to learn more information on how this started, but all we know is the Houston Fire Department is battling a 2-alarm warehouse fire. If you do have friends or family in the Houston area, this is near US 290 in Northwest Houston. This is at a warehouse on McAllister Road where it meets Magnum, or I should say Magnum meets US 290. And obviously the smoke is billowing fiercely out of this building from traffic cams. It can be seen for miles, evidently. And right now the cause of the fire is unknown. And we're also waiting to learn if anyone was in the building or if anyone is hurt around this building. But you can see, I'm trying to see the building next to it, utility sales agents. Okay. And yeah. So that really doesn't tell us too much. So far, three so
in that shot.
far.
I saw a couple on the other side. There's a lot of fire trucks there.
In this kind of situation too, because the wind obviously blowing it in one direction,
Yes.
so it's pretty gusty,
Yep.
and that's going to cause an air quality situation, as we report many times with fires like this.
Dark smoke.
And it's dark smoke, so that means it is fresh. There are a lot of materials in there that are quite flammable, and so this is the fuel to the fire. Now, with a fire like this, they also, once they do arrive on scene, they assess on how to battle this kind of fire.
Yes.
And what kind of materials are inside. We do not see any firefighters in the ladders or any buckets right now. So, maybe right there at the top of the middle of the screen, we see one hosing down from the bucket up there. But you got to approach this where the smoke is not blowing towards you. And if this is a surround and drown, or if they're going to have some firefighters actually go into the building. But right now, we're not even sure on when this fire started. Our content partner again in Houston posting this just about 20 minutes ago. So that's when the chopper there got over the scene. But this is the kind of smoke that is seen for miles, and it is dark, and it just shows the strength of this fire. And how consuming it can be. Wow, that is so much, really. But as we wait to gather more information, just want to bring you these live pictures right now. 290 and Magnum there in Northwest Houston. We're also looking at some of the firefighters on the ground, and they're just walking from equipment to equipment truck. So whether those are just chiefs figuring out how to approach the fire, but it looks like most of the battle is on the top of the screen, that side of the building. Can we listen in? Do they have any?
There's no audio.
No audio on the team yet there?
There's no audio on the shot. It just seems like this
Okay.
is just their chopper shot.
Do you want to look up utility? What did we say that was?
Utility sales agents?
Sales agents. Right next door, if that even is a building that's related to the one that's on fire. And if this is a warehouse, I mean, usually plastics, just everything that can flame up a fire and add to the fuel.
I'm going to put you on camera for 1 second, Jane. I actually
Okay.
found a tweet from editor at KHOU, which is our content partner.
Okay, good.
Who happened to be driving and see the
All right.
flames or the smoke from, let's see, let me put that back up.
Oh,
for
yeah,
you.
this is one of those, like I said, when a fire like this is seen for miles, it can impact traffic. And we're hearing the editor there now.
Yeah, the editor happened to be, I guess, driving.
Northwest, it looks like it's from
Highway
Highway 290,
and this is
which,
what it looks
yep,
like
that's
from their
confirmed. Houston Fire Department says it's too early to know what's burning in this building. All right, and maybe we can get some information from our content partner there at KHOU in Houston. But, and you know, it's the middle of the morning drive too.
Right, 'cause
Right,
they're
it's like
how
8.
many hours
They're
behind?
an hour. They're Central Time. We're Eastern, so they're an hour behind.
So this is
So
rush
it's right
time.
there in the middle of rush hour. Can only imagine what this does to traffic and that spectator slowing surrounding the highways there. All right, this is really a big mess out there. Okay, so let me just recap real quick because this information is fluid and it is new. We're getting more pictures on the ground from the actual scene car.
We are?
Yeah, it looks like.
I'm going to put the aerial shots back up, so
Okay.
please
All
bear
right.
with us as we change over on our scan PC. You can see
Wow.
the photographer on the ground
Those
there
flames.
getting really close.
Oh my goodness, that is raging.
Look at
I mean,
those
they're calling it
flames.
2-alarm right now, and it depends on the agency what qualifies as an alarm. But for the most part, a 2-alarm is, yes, of course, dangerous. 5 out of 5. So 5-alarm is the most perilous, dangerous fire, and I would not be surprised
Look
if
at
this
those flames,
starts to
Jane.
elevate. This is intense.
That's intense.
We're looking at 800, 900, 1,000 degree fire with those kinds of flames. And it's just amazing to see the firefighters when they are, I mean, I'm sure they're pumped up with adrenaline trying to get through things, but as they deal with the equipment, approach the fire with care and caution and strategy, they look somewhat calm.
They do.
This is just from, looking outside in, but they're not running into the building. We see those on movies
Right.
when they rush into a
Right.
building and storm with their hoses, but that is not the case here.
Maybe it's, I'm just, because maybe it's abandoned, we don't know. So maybe
Right.
that's maybe they're
And,
rushing,
yeah.
there's not a fear of anybody being inside.
That's true.
Maybe
Yes.
that's it.
And you got to approach these things
Correct.
with some precaution. You can't just rush in there until your battalion chief or whoever is on scene and in charge knows that it will be safe for the actual firefighters. So the rescue crews need to be safe as well. And you can see one of the buckets there dropping down a little bit with the water coming down. But as you look at those flames, bright orange to red, we're looking at, I'm counting just 2, 4, half a dozen people only on this
Only on
side,
this side.
of the building where their camera crew is set up. So still no major information, as our content partner, that's KHOU,
Yes.
with Tegna, is giving us the live coverage from Houston. And this is the northwest part of Houston, a very big city, but Tower 6 there. Okay, so now we see people climbing up the ladder, and the conversation strategy, I suspect, how they're going to deal with this part of the building. Nice close-up shot there.
should
As
get your husband on the
firefighters.
phone.
Well,
Talk
I
strategy.
was gonna call him. If you don't know, my husband is a retired firefighter from Denver, Colorado, the city of Denver. So used to these industrial fires. And I told him before, and we've had many discussions before, I need to get you on the phone so to weigh in on how firefighters are approaching this. Of course, sure enough, he is out this morning.
Of course.
Of course. But from what I know, from what I've learned over the years, they wait for all of the command units to arrive on scene. They assess the wind, the kind of fire, the kind of materials, who is in there, and if this is going to be a surround and drown, or if they can actually go in and approach it from the inside. You cannot approach it from the roof, obviously. With this case, I can tell you that because it is so hot, and those flames are burning straight up and over. But here, the side paneling burning right through.
Yep. There's reports from a couple of posts on X that it was reported or called in right around 8. So,
Okay. So KHOU was over at about 8:20.
yes.
And we just brought you these pictures here now. That's 8:20 Central Time.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the math. in my head
Yes,
with
so that's an
time
hour
zones.
behind us. So not even an hour ago is
And
when
it's
they got
still
these calls.
raging.
I suspect this is going to be burning for quite some time. You want to look at that smoke and watch it turn from black to gray to white. But as it is black and those flames are just that bright orange red, you know that this is going to be raging for a while.
Yes.
I would like to see
Still don't
those
know the cause.
aerial
We don't know
shots
any
again.
Injuries.
I'm just quickly texting my husband
Sure.
in the event that he is around. But I think he has softball, of course.
Of course. We've seen, the aerial shot showed several fire trucks there. All around. This is just on the ground, one side of this thing. And
Yeah.
goodness.
The hose, you look at the firefighters, it might be 6 feet tall with their
Right.
equipment. They're weighed down with another 50 to 75 pounds, if not more.
50 to 75 pounds.
Yeah, because you have your oxygen tank.
All your
Your bunking gear, that's the rain jacket material, that water repellent, the helmet, that is impediment to your, all of the weight that you're wearing, and then dealing with the hose and the pressure from water sources. It is a physical job, for sure. So it looks like at least this one little window into the building that we saw orange flames burning, looks like they're getting, I don't know, am I too optimistic to say that they're getting a little bit of a handle on that situation? But at least they were able to tear through some openings with the overgrown brush, and you could see where they probably, that area of the fence had to get through, bring in their equipment. Looks like that ladder is going up now. So you have an approach from above, from this one fire truck, and we saw some people on the ground with the hoses down there shooting from below. So at least this one area, again, that black smoke turning into the dark gray, fading off into the distance, now blowing into that lighter gray white. That is a sign of some progress, at least.
Promising signs.
All right, so let's get you caught up here. Not even an hour ago, reports of a fire burning at a warehouse in Northwest Houston. This is a warehouse that we're waiting to learn if there are any people inside the building. What materials are in this warehouse that are causing these massive flames? And the one firefighter walking back down the ladder as they have two firefighters in the bucket, Tower 6, Houston, spraying down and approaching it from above. And we did see a helicopter above as well, not with water drops, just camera crew giving us some aerials about of the scene, which is very intense. So about 8:20, our content partner KHOU in Houston picked up some coverage, and they are streaming this live right now. We're bringing you these pictures and images live of a major warehouse fire burning in Northwest Houston. Okay, let me see here. Now, we did see some firefighters approach the building, and then they walked out.
Yep.
Quite calmly.
Yep.
That's a good sign.
As of right now, we still don't know exactly the name of this warehouse. We don't
Okay,
know
and
what
the
kind of
utility sales
warehouse.
agents,
The utility
nothing?
sales agents is nothing. Well, I haven't found anything quite yet. Houston.
All right.
I'm searching things in real time, folks.
Yeah, that's Carlene. She is the woman here hanging out, doing all the right things.
Let's see here.
All right, Houston Fire, that looks like just someone to maybe a battalion chief or some captain on scene. They many times don't wear the full bunking gear. Just make a call there. Is it
Are they strategizing? Are they the ones
strategizing?
that kind of
They count their crews.
Yes.
You know, this is a not multi-agency, but a multi-department house station, multi-station response. So it's when the first crew arrives on scene, and then it becomes bigger and bigger, and they dispatch more crews. Then usually the original team there is the one that is in command. And so it's a big communication, coordinated effort to see who is going to approach which side of the building and how they're going to do exactly that. Where the water source is, you know, there's a fine, I mean, the fire trucks obviously hold tons of water, but fire hydrant placement is important, as we've seen that in the days since the South Park fire. Remember that car?
Yes. Oh, yes.
The fire hydrant drama.
Yes.
That was too far away to deal with what ended up being a fatal fire. The ground crew there in Houston at the warehouse, obviously moving when necessary, so just bear with the live coverage as we bring these pictures to you. All right,
We actually have we're going to get an update on our own breaking news in Newton. We have
Okay.
our crews there talking to police, so we're going to take that right now.
okay, thanks.
For the car.
So did they stay?
All four stayed and one fled.
And so that led you here?
That led us here, just down the road here a little bit. The car was pulled over, individual jumped out the car and ran into the woods here.
So, I mean, so you staged here to try to find him? Is that what all the police presence was?
Police presence was for that. We set up a perimeter, called in extra officers, 2 SWAT teams, Catawba County STAR team, and the Hickory Police Department's Special Operations team came out to assist.
And you did not apprehend the suspect?
He's not apprehended at this time. We're continuously to look for him. I don't have his name right here, but we do have a name. We do have warrants for the individual.
And so the search still continues for this?
The search is still ongoing. We do have the Marshal Service helping us as well.
If y'all want to join in, y'all can.
Okay, sure, certainly.
So he won't have to do it twice.
Ask a couple questions.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So he'll probably have to circle back. But the other individuals in the car, were they charged with anything?
There was a couple of weapons in the car, some handguns in the car. They were charged. Maybe one or two of them were convicted felons, so they were charged with possession of firearm by a felon.
So just running back, there were 5 individuals in the car.
Five individuals in the car. One jumped out, and that was the one that is missing right now. Yes, sir.
And the other, did you determine what they were doing that made the residents call in?
As of right now, it was a suspicious person call. Unknown what their motives were later on. If we stop something from happening, which appears to be with all the weapons in the car, and then them not wanting to stop for us, or one individual not wanting to stop for us. So,
did the individual pull over immediately during the traffic stop?
They did pull over for the traffic stop, and that's when officers were communicating with them, and then the one jumps out of the car and runs when they were getting him out of the car.
So it had nothing to do with this business right here?
Nothing to do with any of the businesses around, no, sir.
What about the workers and the people here at this building? Were they told to shelter in place?
So what we did, yes, we contact all the local businesses, let them shelter in place. They did contact their employees that were possibly coming on, because all this started around 1 o'clock this morning. So they did around 4 o'clock when the new shift was coming in. They stopped them from coming in for a while, and then eventually, once we knew subject wasn't around this area, it was further out, they were allowed to bring people in.
There is a threat still out there, you think?
The threat may still be out there because this individual is out there. I'll just say we do have a firearm that we suspect to be the firearm that the gentleman was carrying. So we did locate that as we were doing our search through the woods.
What are you telling residents that are around here?
As we were telling them earlier, as we were talking to folks, just be mindful. If you see something, say something. As always, keep your doors locked, keep your cars locked. And if you see an individuals or suspicious folks running around your community, call the police.
How much more manpower are you going to put to apprehending this guy today? What's going on?
We're going to continue. So everybody that's working, those that were working last night and yesterday, obviously we'll send them home. But those that are working today, we'll keep them looking. And the U.S. Marshal Service is here to assist us as well. And they have a good team out there to help us out.
Yeah, we saw a pretty large response. Marion Police as well as Conover and Cobb Sheriff's.
Pretty much all the local agencies around came out to assist us. So we appreciate all those agencies that come out.
So sorry to ask a couple questions. I'm sure you've already answered at this point, but can you tell us where this started, what exactly the nature of this
yes, ma'am.
was? Yeah.
So about maybe right around 1 o'clock this morning, Newton Police Department gets a call with suspicious males. Several black males were walking behind the residence, and the residents called the police department about that being suspicious, which obviously 1 o'clock in the morning, somebody walking behind your house, I would think that would be suspicious for our community and our residents to call in for.
So then how did it go from a suspicious person's call to what we saw today?
Right. So what it turned out, when the officers got there, they got a vehicle description and everything. So we put that information out to all the local agencies. Catawba County, I believe the Catawba County Sheriff's Office initiated a traffic stop on the individuals just down the road here. And that's where they pulled the car over. Several of the subjects were compliant except for the one that jumped out and ran.
Was the one that jumped out, were they driving? Do we know? Or
He was a passenger in the back of the back seat. Yes, ma'am.
And the 4 other individuals?
4 others stayed there.
Were they questioned?
They were questioned. Like I said, 1 or 2 of them were convicted felons, and they had firearms on them, so they were charged with that as well. One individual that jumped and run from the car, he went into the woods, got probably about 30 or so yards into the woods, and fired on the officers that were pursuing him.
Okay. Do we know about how many shots at this point? Or
one shot.
One shot towards the officers. Yes. Did any officer return fire?
No officers returned fire. Nobody was hurt. As of that, don't know if the subject that ran, don't know what his status is now, if he was hurt by anything. But
we saw helicopters circling as well. Was that just to monitor the situation, or could you?
We called State Highway Patrol in, and they got here this morning to help with the search. So they helped us out tremendously. As always, we appreciate them as well for coming out from Raleigh to help us with the air support.
You know about how many agencies were involved in this right offhand?
I would say at least a half a dozen, at least 6 that I know of. That's including federal, state, and local agencies.
Will you be having mug shots of these guys available?
We will put a press release out here in a little bit. I got to go back to the office. We've been out here since 1 o'clock, so I'm gonna get my bearings together, and then I'll go back to the office and we'll get a press release together in coordination with the Marshal Service as well, because I know they do want to put a reward out there as well.
Can you tell me what the neighborhood was that where the gentlemen were behind the house, where that was located?
It was on North Davis, in the area of North Davis. I'm not sure the exact address, but
Block number maybe?
I'm not sure the block.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to put it out there and that I have the wrong block, but
it is
I'm
the
not
neighborhood
sure.
of
North Davis.
North Davis, and that's in the town of Newton.
That's in the city of Newton. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I don't have anything.
Trevor, do you have anything else to hit your curious? Yeah. Chief, thank you very much. One more thing. Could we just get the proper spelling and pronunciation of your first and last name?
First name is Vidal, and last name is Sipe, Vidalsipe.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. That's got to be scary for
You've been watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus just after 10 o'clock this morning on a Thursday. Live interview with our photojournalist on scene, Kevin Wardlaw, asking officials about what happened there in Newton. This is what we know now. At 1 a.m., there was a suspicious person call out to police. Vehicle description given, and Catawba Sheriff's Office picked up that call. They found the vehicle earlier this morning with a number of occupants in the car. There was one of them. They spotted some weapons there as well on the men in the car. One of them in the back seat then jumped and ran from the car into the woods, and then gave chase. Pretty much, officers ran after him, and then at that point, they say that the one person that escaped into the woods fired at officers. So no one was hurt. There was one shot fired from the person whose status is unknown at this point, unknown injuries, and don't know where he is at this point. So situation there in Newton, it is near the Flour Bakery building, where the business there is saying that it is quite busy. Traffic is definitely jammed through the area. That affects NC 16 and the 1600 block of Chester, I believe, is the address of this area. So heavy police presence there in Newton. So be aware of that. It's if you do not have to be in the area, avoid it if you can. And we are still waiting to gather more information. Our Kevin Wardlaw is on scene, as well as our Miles Harris, who is headed to that scene. So as soon as we learn more, we will bring that to you here live on Impact News. On WCNC Plus. Pardon me as I just look through some of my other notes. Did I get everything? I think so. We are also hearing about a large commercial fire in Union County. So that's another fire that we are following this morning. The one in Houston, Texas, is a major warehouse that's on fire that we've been following since, in Central Time, 8 o'clock, our time. We picked up the live feed here around 9:30, so not even about half an hour ago. But we are hearing about a large fire in Union County now. This will affect Industrial Parkway between Heritage Drive and Mitchell Dewitt Road. So that is closed in the area. You want to use a different way to get around if you do need to make your way through there. But we also have another photojournalist headed to that scene. Again, we'll bring those images to you when we get on scene and set up our camera. Let's get you back out to Northwest Houston right now. This is a fire that's being followed that happened around 8 o'clock Central Time in Northwest Houston area at a warehouse near 290 in Magnum. We saw a lot of black smoke as Houston Tower 6, you can see, is approaching it from above. And we did see crews on foot go in as well with their hoses. But aerial shots and from different angles, this is a pretty sizable warehouse, shows a lot of black smoke that is still billowing out of this building. It just so happens to be that that they are having this angle of the warehouse. So flames at one point, very bright orange red. Other parts of the building, it is still a lot of black smoke and visible for miles. So this is going to be a long day for fire crews, and the materials inside that warehouse, we're still waiting to learn what's in there, because obviously a lot of fuel to this fire, and if there is anyone involved, anyone caught in the building. So injuries are unknown, and then of course the cause of the fire, that is all unknown at this time. So as we gather more information there, the wind is definitely a factor as well, because we saw that black billowing smoke blowing in a certain direction. And right now, according to our content partner, KHOU, Houston Fire Department battling a 2-alarm fire near 290, that's US 290, at a warehouse. And again, the smoke is quite visible, quite dangerous for air quality as well. That goes without saying. And at this point, they do not know the cause of the fire or if any injuries have been reported. As far as cause of the fire, this might be one of those things where they won't know until the fire is out. They got to deal first things first, and put it out and make sure no one was hurt. As this is a live feed from our content partners there on the ground, you'll see that the picture is moving and shaking. So that's the feed we're bringing to you live here, raw and unedited, as this is Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I just reached out to, by the way, another friend who is a retired firefighter, and he's watching as well. I don't miss the warehouse fire. Yeah, sometimes you just end up sitting outside spraying water from the towers, and a lot of cleanup. But why they can't go inside yet, it's still too dangerous. Could have, once all of that fuel and material burn off, who knows the materials on the ceiling and what's potential debris and dangerous projections as well. So just watching the one bucket, the one ladder there. But we did see earlier an aerial view from, oh gosh, that was about 30 minutes ago, with all that black smoke, that this building was surrounded by fire trucks and ladder trucks. And then other folks, other fire crews are just bringing in equipment, as you see here, with one fella bringing in a ladder. It's interesting. Sometimes you just look at them and they're, you have to wait. It's in a standby position. Hurry up and wait. Yeah, kind of a hurry up and wait. You just wait to the guys in the buckets to do that part, and then they'll communicate to the ground crew with the trucks. You can go in, you cannot go in, things of that nature. It's a very detailed, step-by-step process. So, yeah, one of those, again, long days that you're just waiting it out and don't know.
Right.
Where this is in Houston, it's next to a utility sales company as well. So it looked vacant, the building did look vacant next door. So if people need to go back to work or are going to work today, as Central Time, Texas is 1 hour behind us here in Charlotte, and in the middle of the morning commute, and how that traffic is really, traffic surrounding the areas and that smoke visible, causing some spectators slowing on the highways, trying to get to work. Quite a spectacle at times. Sun is shining there, though, and perhaps the wind is a little bit calmer as we see some of the smoke not so, certainly going in one direction, but it's not blowing as much as it was. But maybe we're laying down this fire a little bit better. But who are we? We're not there. We're not on the ground. You could see the damage to the building, intense flames, enough to warp a lot of the structure and the materials inside. I would imagine there are different plastics and other flammable materials in there causing this. What is that on?
Router 3?
Router 3, yeah.
We are trying, NBC, we'll bring this up for you. NBC has it listed as an incident at Boston Marathon finish line installation.
Okay.
I am trying to gather
Gather-
more details. There's not many,
Boston
practically none at this point.
Marathon installation?
Correct.
Okay.
That's what the aerials are looking at now. You can see
Okay. Right.
crime scene tape, cars. Let's see.
The finish line decal, where the finish line decal is installed. So something,
Oh, Anders just said the Union County fire that you talked about earlier, that was a
Yeah.
false alarm. There's no fire.
oh, good news.
Good news.
All right. So that was on Industrial Way near Heritage Drive in Union County. We'll go ahead and disregard. Boston Marathon weekend is this weekend.
Yes.
So that's why the decal's being installed. But there is some kind of incident reported there as we are looking at some of the live views there. I'm trying to get some information on that. We've had a busy morning
Very
today.
busy.
It's a very, very fluid situation. And we're following this as our content partners are also following this in real time. Can I get back to that Houston fire?
Sure.
It looks like
Certainly.
we're getting a little bit more information here. I know the picture is looking at the sky, but
There's a fire.
as
here.
there is a fire at a warehouse, and so it appears that it is a drywall warehouse fire in Northwest Houston, according to our content partner, KHOU. This fire came in around 8 o'clock Central Time, so 9 o'clock Eastern, our time here in Charlotte, and blowing plumes of dark smoke into the sky and seen for miles. As they get a handle on this, and we are trying to gather more information, but at least this one tidbit that we can pass along, we now know that this is a drywall fire, according to folks there on the ground in Houston. All right, I'm going to come off that picture now because they are still looking at the sky. Back to Boston, where the installation of the, and it's got to be so busy there too.
Oh, yeah.
In Boston, if it's Boston Marathon weekend. But something happened
we
at
got an
the
update.
finish line. Okay, this is the
This is
Boston.
from NBC 10 Boston. Let's see. Boston police officer fired their weapon at a dog Thursday morning. Boston police said it happened around 9:30 during a confrontation with a, quote, vicious dog on Boylston Street. Sorry,
Boylston.
Boston people, if I mess that up. Near the Boston Marathon finish line. No one was hit, including the dog.
Okay. An incident with a dog fires. Boston police officer fires weapon at a dog on Boylston Street. Okay, so that coming to NBC Boston just minutes ago. But it's already busy there anyway, so that's what we're getting out of this picture. At least no one was hurt. Preliminary information as it goes. But they're extra cautious now since, Boston Marathon weekend and historically just a major event that we've seen in years past.
Probably one of the biggest races in the world.
Oh yeah, right.
You have Boston
you have to
Marathon,
qualify.
New York. Those are the biggies. Chicago.
Yeah. So and they can't take any. I mean, they got to take all kinds of precautions there now. Okay, sorry guys.
We are learning in real time. So we are typing, we are Googling, we are doing things in real time.
Yes, it's only the two of us. I was just trying to look for the Oh, the Boston Marathon, the bombing, that was in 2013. But
Yes.
yeah, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so since then, there is no joke when it comes to security. Not that there was before, but now they really
Certainly,
take
yes.
security around this event very seriously. All right, another beautiful aerial shot of the sky
Of a sky.
in Boston. That must be the theme this morning. All right, it looks like a beautiful day in Boston.
Yep.
All right, Boston police having to fire a weapon at a dog, but the dog was not hurt. Officers were not hurt. Another beautiful shot here. All right, taking a break from the sky and back to our Houston fire, where this seems to be encouraging with Houston Ladder 4 there in the background, and it looks like our
The sky, once again.
they love the sky. It is a beautiful day
It
in
is a
Houston
nice
as well.
day.
Gosh, it's beautiful in the Queen City. I mean, let's take a quick peek there at uptown Charlotte. The skyline.
The skyline.
is better. Skyline is better. But here at 10:20 now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. A beautiful day in Charlotte. It's been beautiful really across the country from what we've seen.
Yes.
Boston and Houston. All right.
Do we want to go back to the Chimney Rock Fair for a little bit to buy so we can figure out what's happening elsewhere?
Let me.
Oh, wait,
looks
we got
like-
a shot back. We got a
Okay.
shot back.
You want to take that one?
Sure.
All right. Okay. It looks like the photography crew there in Houston setting up now and across the way from the fire. So it looks much better as it has in the last hour.
I'm trying to see what's the name on that building, Jane. I can't. It's a little bit far.
Oh gosh,
I can't
I'm
tell.
gonna get my glasses too. Let's see. There's not the utility sales utility. Oh, I can't tell. But I mean, one of the signs for lease.
For lease, something that says K.
Hopefully, it's one of
KE?
those things where you hope it's just it was an empty warehouse, so no one was hurt, and the material drywall. It's a drywall warehouse that we now know that caught fire.
It looks like when you said earlier, like the blacks. When we first were on this, the smoke was
Oh,
pitch black. Like,
it was
dark.
Yes,
And
it
now
was like a
it's-
night sky. So now that
It's lighter.
this is what we want.
Showing
This is what
promise.
we wanted to see. And so they got a handle on it. I believe it's safe to say they're getting a handle on things here in Houston on this warehouse fire. But according to our content partner in Houston, the cause of the fire is unknown, and whether there are any injuries reported, that has yet to be determined. So an update there for you. They still left it with a 2-alarm warehouse fire near US 290 and McAllister Road, if you're familiar with the area. But from many of the traffic cams in Houston, you could see this thing. You could see the smoke in the air for miles. And it impacts everything from, your drive and your attention and the air quality. And so that's a pretty rough scene there in Houston. But again, this seems to be much better as we are looking in live. Fire crews with Tower 6 now, a close-up shot there of some of the fire crews in the bucket. The one officer telling 2 other firefighters whatever commands, whatever their next steps may be, but they're not throwing down the hose and aiming at the building. So that is a good sign, right? That they're not having to actively battle this fire. What follows this, though, is the cleanup. It's the sifting through the evidence, if you will, and to determine what happened here. So it's a long day. That is for sure for all of these stations on scene that were involved. They probably, the call was around 8 o'clock Central Time, once again. Right. So about an hour and a half ago, our time, as they are 1 hour behind. And looking there now from the air. Air 11 back up in the air, showing you that smoke that if you were with us an hour ago was black. like midnight black, and now it is white. So quick work by firefighters, as this was a major fire. It really consumed the air, and this building, a warehouse. Those warehouses, they're very big. And
Oh, we have a new.
do we have a new
view.
feed
We have a new
too?
view.
Okay.
Check this out.
Oh, this is good.
Boom.
Great. All right, so Tower 6. So one of the other trucks now dealing with it. This is, yeah, we don't see the flames. We don't see that black
No.
smoke, but there are hot spots. So this is still an active fight. It might not seem as much, definitely moving in the way of getting the upper hand on the fire, but as this is now a specifically targeted aim from that truck's, the bucket, the guys in the bucket, to this side of the building. And look at the roof, how warped
Yeah.
it is. That's
Looks like
metal.
Twizzlers,
That's
like-
and this is caved in.
Wow.
Wow is right.
Took a turn from the arrows we had before.
Yes.
Well, we couldn't see the roof. It was so.
It was, yeah, it was
we
covered
couldn't see
in
anything.
it was covered in
It could
black
have been
smoke.
collapsed before, but we just
So
didn't see
this
it.
is a full-on roof collapse.
Wow.
That is hot.
That's destroyed. That's
That is a goner.
There's nothing left.
Drywall, I mean, drywall is flammable
Right.
anyway, right? So if a warehouse full of
yeah.
drywall material, yeah, totally, to the sky. So, yeah, you could see a couple of the ladders still engaged in the fire, but again, I would say this is probably the best surround and drown kind of picture you're going to see.
Yeah.
What's left of it.
What's left? It's a shell.
Yeah, but both sides of this building now completely. Now we're getting a better view of what this looks like and what they were dealing with. The size of this fire, the size of the building itself is big. You know, warehouses aren't small anyway, but
Still no cause.
right, still no
Still
cause.
and no injuries as far as we know.
It always is fascinating, though, to watch in real time what it looks like, the people on the ground. There's a bit of a makeshift rest area on the bottom right corner where some of the firefighters are taking a little reprieve because the battle right now is from above in those ladder trucks. And then the fire crews will go in at a certain point, and maybe they have already started approaching certain areas deemed a little bit more safe, but approaching this cautiously to determine what and or who is inside the building. But yeah, you can see this is charred. This is a mess. Okay. Finally. And that's, you know, sometimes when you get the aerial view, we can see the big picture for sure. For a while, we went to the ground crew giving us a little bit of those tighter shots, close-up shots of the building, the flames, the intensity of the flames, and then back to this aerial view. I suspect that the chopper there had to refuel at a certain point. So now that we have this back up and running, just giving you here the tail end of what is happening here. But again, their day is not done. Once this fire is deemed safe and the building is deemed safe, they will go inside. They will start the cleanup. There's a lot of water on the ground, you can see. And so they're not done. Those firefighters are not done with the day. I know we are waiting for
Miles.
an update from Miles. Told you earlier about the other fire, or not other fire, police activity in Newton. Okay, in Newton, North Carolina, here, close to home, right here in our backyard. So I'm going to break away for a moment here from the live coverage happening from our content partner, KHOU in Houston. It looks like fire crews, Houston Fire, getting the upper hand on this drywall warehouse fire that was called in about an hour and a half ago, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock time here in Charlotte, Eastern Time. So as they finish wrapping that up, want to bring you out to...
See, ask if Miles can hear you.
Miles, can you hear us? Yes, he can.
Great.
All right. All right, fabulous. So I am going to break away from that right now because we've had some police activity in Newton. Like I said, we do have our Miles Harris now on scene. And this is really affecting not only neighbors, businesses in the area, but traffic as well. Miles, get us caught up.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a lot of information that we're working to gather right now, Jane. And I know you mentioned that traffic stop. It's actually kind of cleared up here since I really arrived here on the scene. Our photographer, I should say, Kevin Wardlaw, was actually here earlier and got a chance to talk to Newton's police department and trying to get some information on what really happened here from overnight and this morning. So some of the information that we were able to confirm, or at least gather up to this point, is that there was some calls from some neighbors out here in the town of Newton, or in the area of Newton, I should be more specific, in saying that they were getting calls of some suspicious activity in one of the neighborhoods here. They found, at least at that point, it led to a traffic stop. There were 5 individuals in a car. One of the individuals actually got out of the car, kind of ran away from police, ran away from law enforcement. That led to actually a shooting out in one of the wooded areas out here in Newton. Now, there were still 4 individuals in that car during that traffic stop. Law enforcement, they actually found that there were even guns inside that car, and there was even also one other person that was arrested from that traffic stop because they were a felon or because of felony charges prior to that traffic stop. Now, we do know that law enforcement from several other areas, they're actually still looking for that individual that did take off in that car. We don't know as far as the other 3 or 4 people in that car, what they're looking at as far as what their ties are when it comes to this scene here. And we know that law enforcement, they've actually left this scene, but they, again, are still working to find the other individual that did run away from them during that traffic stop. Still trying to gather some of that information and details, but that is at least what we know so far, Jane, as we, again, just arrived here at the scene within the last maybe 10 minutes or so. But again, a clean scene here, but we know that law enforcement is still trying to piece together exactly who was involved with this scene and really where everybody is as well.
Miles, we know no one was hurt in this incident. And do we know what the original traffic stop was for? Any specifics about that?
So the only specifics that I've been able to at least get caught up with, at least at this point, Jane, is that the traffic stop was leading from calls from people in a neighborhood because of suspicious activity. They felt like there were people behind the homes that were kind of doing some stuff suspiciously. So they had gotten at least 1 or 2 of the calls, the Newton police did, and so that's what kind of led to the traffic stop. Now, this is the area here where they actually had staged a lot of law enforcement that kind of closed down this area here. You talked about it here. Some of the businesses were actually closed. Some of the businesses here, this is actually right next to me here. It's a Flowers Baking Company of Newton LLC. They actually closed down at least the morning portion of their shift because of this traffic stop, because of this scene here. Now, again, it does look clean out here. It looks clear. No law enforcement out here again, but we do know that they are still trying to piece together and look for at least one of the individuals from that traffic stop, Jane.
All right. Thank you, Miles Harris, there in Newton, giving us the latest update from that police presence. At least traffic is improving and they've cleared the scene, so that could be encouraging as well. All right, Miles, we know you're working to gather more information. We'll let you go for now and check in with you later on this afternoon. Get you back out to Houston right now. This is a live picture of what's happening with a drywall warehouse fire that is happening in Northwest Houston. This was called in around an hour and a half ago, and at one point the smoke was so black, but the smoke has improved to this faint gray/white color. That's better news for the area. But as you can see with these close-up pictures now, these aerial shots from the camera crew above and our content partner there in Houston, KHOU, they are still dousing water on this quite feverishly with a number of Houston stations responding to this scene. The cause of the fire is unknown. Whether there was anyone in the building or if there are any injuries, that is unknown. But we now know the one thing is that it is a drywall warehouse fire. But as you can see from this picture again, which is coming in to us live, the roof is completely collapsed, and there are crews on the ground And there are crews up on their ladder trucks and in the buckets surrounding this building, still dealing with whatever is left in the fire or whatever is left in the building that caused the fire. Take you out here live right now, and we still don't have any reporter on the ground, Car? Live there? They're just giving us, we're just taking this feed straight. Okay. All right. So, yeah, this was, what, 8 o'clock or so?
8 o'clock their time.
8 o'clock their time, 9 o'clock ours.
time.
So an hour and a half ago. And I think, Carlene, you saw it, right? You saw it up on one of the feeds?
Yes.
And then that was about an hour. We brought this to Live Impact News about an hour. So not too long after the chopper arrived on scene.
Yep.
Did we bring this to you live here on Live Impact News?
It's been an hour. I mean, there's still really limited details at this point.
Just talking to other firefighters, it makes for a long day, quote unquote, because of the cleanup that follows.
Right.
So, assuming that this is on the better side of being cleaned up, or not cleaned up, but getting the upper hand, it's far from over. The day is far from over. And it looks like, so this is off 290, US 290 and McAllister Road up there in Northwest Houston, Texas. But look how close it is to the highway, top of your screen.
Right.
So when we saw all of that black smoke, this was blowing across.
Billowing.
It was raging.
Yeah.
That was pretty fierce.
Like air quality would be
horrible.
Horrible.
Yeah, that I mean, smoke is the one thing. Once it gets going, it's close your windows. If you are sensitive, if you have any kind of respiratory issues, you get inside, close the windows. Even if you don't. Even if you don't. That is so true. So, yeah, these shots are coming to us live now. Nice view as we're getting an idea now of what this looks like. That black smoke out of the way, clearing for the actual roof that is collapsed.
Yes.
That is, it's kind of insane. Like a melt, it just melted into itself. And we see this time and time, we see this, especially when it comes to warehouses with those flammable materials. Those make for some of the hottest fires that can melt really through anything. So as we bring that to you live, we are coming up on 10:36 here, Thursday morning on Live Impact News. You are watching a live feed out of Houston, Texas on WCNC Plus. We're bringing you the news, the pictures that come to us here live in the Impact studio, just raw and somewhat unedited. This is happening in real time. So, Miles, we did hear from Miles as we look in on this. I want to talk to you about what Miles is covering here in our backyard.
We also have the police presser that Miles and Kevin were at a couple minutes ago.
Oh,
I
okay.
have that loaded up if we want to take that.
Oh, okay. Let's do that. Let's get some details from officials now and play that here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Initially, Newton Police Department got a call reference to some suspicious subjects behind some residents walking around in the community. The officers get on the scene, get a description of a vehicle and things, put information out to the local officers, and they locate the vehicle, conduct a traffic stop on the vehicle, talk to subjects. One of the subjects run from the vehicle. As he's running into the woods, the officers pursue him and get so far into the woods, and then shots were fired at the police officer.
The other subject that was stopped, it was two people?
It was a total of 5 people in the car.
So did they stay?
All four stayed and one fled.
And so that led you here?
That led us here, just down the road here a little bit. The car was pulled over, individual jumped out the car and ran into the woods here.
So, I mean, so you staged here to try to find him? Is that what all the police presence was?
Police presence was for that. We set up a perimeter, called in extra officers, 2 SWAT teams, Catawba County STAR team, and the Hickory Police Department's Special Operations team came out to assist.
And you did not apprehend the suspect?
He's not apprehended at this time. We're continuously to look for him. I don't have his name right here, but we do have a name. We do have warrants for the individual.
And so the search still continues for this?
The search is still ongoing. We do have the Marshal Service helping us as well.
If y'all want to join in, y'all can.
Okay, sure, certainly.
So he won't have to do it twice.
Ask a couple questions. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. So he'll probably have to circle back. But the other individuals in the car, were they charged with anything?
There was a couple of weapons in the car, some handguns in the car. They were charged. Maybe 1 or 2 of them were convicted felons, so they were charged with possession of firearm by felon.
So just running back, there were 5 individuals in the car?
5 individuals in the car, 1 jumped out, and that was the one that is missing right now. Yes, sir.
And the other, did you determine what they were doing that made the residents call in?
As of right now, it was a suspicious person call. Unknown what their motives were later on. If we stop something from happening, which appears to be with all the weapons in the car, and then them not wanting to stop for us, or one individual not wanting to stop for us. So,
did the individual pull over immediately during the traffic stop?
They did pull over for the traffic stop, and that's when the officers were communicating with them, and then the one jumps out of the car and runs when they were getting them out of the car.
So it had nothing to do with this business, right?
Nothing to do with any of the businesses around, no, sir.
What about the workers and the people here at this building? Were they told to shelter in place?
So what we did, yes, we contact all the local businesses, let them shelter in place. They did contact their employees that were possibly coming on, because all this started around 1 o'clock this morning. So they did around 4 o'clock when the new shift was coming in. They stopped them from coming in for a while, and then eventually, once we knew subject wasn't around this area, was further out, they were allowed to bring people in.
There is a threat still out there, you think?
The threat may still be out there because this individual is out there. I'll just say we do have a firearm that we suspect to be the firearm that the gentleman was carrying. So we did locate that as we were doing our search through the woods.
What are you telling residents that are around here?
As we were telling them earlier, as we were talking to folks, just be mindful. If you see something, say something. As always, keep your doors locked, keep your cars locked. And if you see an individuals or suspicious folks running around your community, call the police.
How much more manpower are you going to put to apprehending this guy today? What's going on?
We're going to continue. So everybody that's working, those that were working last night and yesterday, obviously we'll send them home. But those that are working today, we'll keep them looking. And the U.S. Marshal Service is here to assist us as well. And they have a good team out there to help us out.
Yeah, we saw a pretty large response. Marion Police as well as Conover and Sheriff's.
Pretty much all the local agencies around came out to assist us. So we appreciate all those agencies that come out.
So sorry to ask a couple questions. I'm sure you've already answered at this point, but can you tell us where this started, what exactly the nature of this
yes, ma'am.
was? Yeah.
So about maybe right around 1 o'clock this morning, Newton Police Department gets a call with suspicious males. Several black males were walking behind the residence, and the residents called the police department about that being suspicious, which obviously 1 o'clock in the morning, somebody walking behind your house, I would think that would be suspicious for our community or our residents to call in for.
So then how did it go from a suspicious person's call to what we saw today?
Right. So what it turned out, when the officers got there, they got a vehicle description and everything, so we put that information out to all the local agencies. Catawba County, I believe the Catawba County Sheriff's Office initiated a traffic stop on the individuals just down the road here, and that's where they pulled the car over. Several of the subjects were compliant except for the one that jumped out and ran.
Was the one that jumped out, were they driving? Do we know? Or
He was a passenger in the
back
back of the back seat. Yes, ma'am.
And the 4 other individuals?
4 others stayed there.
Were they questioned?
They were questioned. Like I said, 1 or 2 of them were convicted felons, and they had firearms on them, so they were charged with that as well. One the individual that jumped and run from the car, he went into the woods, got probably about 30 or so yards into the woods, and fired on the officers that were pursuing him.
Okay. Do we know about how many shots at this point? Or
one shot.
One shot towards the officers.
Yes.
Did any officer return fire?
No officers returned fire. Nobody was hurt. As of that, don't know if the subject that ran, don't know what his status is now, if he was hurt. by anything, but
We saw helicopters circling as well. Was that just to monitor the situation, or could you?
we called State Highway Patrol in, and they got here this morning to help with the search. So they helped us out tremendously. As always, we appreciate them as well for coming out from Raleigh to help us with the air support.
Do you know about how many agencies were involved in this right offhand?
I would say at least a half a dozen, at least 6 that I know of. That's including federal, state, and local agencies.
Will you be having mugshots of these guys available today?
We will put a press release out here in a little bit. I got to go back to the office. We've been out here since 1 o'clock, so I'm gonna get my bearings together, and then I'll go back to the office and we'll get a press release together in coordination with the Marshal Service as well, because I know they do want to put a reward out there as well.
Can you tell me what the neighborhood was that where the gentlemen were behind the house, where that was located?
It was on North Davis, in the area of North Davis. I'm not sure of the exact address, but
block number maybe?
I'm not sure of the block.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to put it out there and that I have the wrong block, but it is
the neighborhood
sure. North Davis.
North Davis, and
yes.
That's in the town of Newton.
That's in the city of Newton. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I don't have anything.
Trevor, do you have anything else to address? Yeah. Chief, thank you very much. One more thing. Could we just get the proper spelling and pronunciation of your first and last name?
First name is Vidal, and last name is Sipe, Vidalsipe.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. That's got to.
Just replaying for you there the official sound from police department on the search for someone who fired at officers earlier this morning. Take you back out live now. It is the KHOU ground crew, camera crew, our content partner there in Houston, Texas, covering a major fire that happened at a drywall warehouse in Northwest Houston. Can tell you now that judging by the smoke as that turned from black to this lightening up to a light gray, white, it appears that Houston Fire getting the upper hand on this fire. But if you saw earlier some of the aerial views and video that we were bringing to you live, that roof collapsed. There was just no way they were going to approach it with an interior strategy, but instead a surround and drown strategy with a lot of these ladder trucks and fire crews in the buckets, just aiming water right at the building itself. So that fire pretty much dealt with. That started around 8 o'clock Houston time, 9 o'clock Eastern. And the cause of the fire is unknown, whether there was anyone involved in the fire. As far as people inside the warehouse when fire crews arrived, that has yet to be determined. And the black smoke, though, now turning to a light gray white. Good news, encouraging news there. But as my firefighter buddies like to say, it makes for a long day, because now it is the cleanup that will have to be dealt with after they deal with all of these last minute hot spots. And those hot spots can definitely flare up, as we've seen from time to time. So a much better picture there as we come back out here. Live on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. It is just after 10:45 on a Thursday morning, and wow, we have covered some major breaking news all morning. A lot of ground, Carlene.
Here, there,
Boston, Houston,
here,
Newton.
All over.
All over. All over.
We're all over the map.
But we couldn't.
We're everywhere you are.
We couldn't do
you
it.
can take us everywhere you are.
Yes. Tell us what else needs to be known.
Download the app. Take us wherever you want to go.
Yes.
Even in the background.
Have it on the background. Yes. I mean, we appreciate you watching with us live right now, but just keep it on, because we stream pretty much 18, 20 hours a day live original content here on WCNC Plus. And things are changing like this, especially on Live Impact News, because we see, as you can see from all these screens, we're monitoring everything and anything that's happening.
Just the two of us.
Just the two
Girl
of
power.
us.
Woo!
High five.
Woo! We're doing it.
We're doing it. That's what we do.
You know what we're doing?
What are we doing now?
We've got Drafty coming up.
Thank you.
We have not plugged this yet. We need to plug this.
Thank you, Carlene. I knew you just got to steer
I'm
this
on
ship.
the plug, because I'm on it.
It is happening a week from tonight. Draft night. Are you excited?
Sure. I'm excited.
I'm excited.
I want the Panthers to do
Come
well.
on.
Something's got.
When was the last time?
Something's got to give.
When was the last time the Panthers had a winning season?
In a minute.
It's been
a while.
It's been a hot minute.
It's been a
It's
while.
been before my time.
It's been before my time too.
For sure.
And I've
So-
been here 6 years.
So our Nick Carboni and Danielle Stein are going to be talking about draft night on draft night. Actually, special content coming up tonight at 9 with our Nick Carboni here specifically. Exclusive to WCNC Plus.
You only get it here. So you gotta watch.
Yes, absolutely. And then next Thursday, April 24th, we have top 8th pick overall.
That's right.
Do you think we're going to trade it?
I hope not.
I know, right?
Keep it.
We
Just
need
hold
it.
on to it. But again, I'm not in the war room.
Exactly.
So who knows?
Yeah. You know who's in the war room? It's Nick and Danielle.
Yeah.
They're going to be talking about it. 7 p.m. with our partners at Locked On. So that is a discussion to be, you got to be in the room where it happens too. And speaking of where it happens, when it happens, is it going to be offense? Is it going to be defense? Danielle Stein.
Oh, Danielle Stein might.
Danielle Stein talked specifically
yeah.
about what might happen, right? Let's pre-draft discuss this. All right, so she is in front of Bank of America Stadium, and she's giving us some of her hot takes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
One full year in the books for Dave Canales and Dan Morgan at the helm of the Carolina Panthers. They're getting ready for their second NFL draft together, and they're really reiterating that they're not really going to pigeonhole themselves when it comes to that number 8 pick in the draft.
We're not going to box ourselves in. We're going to be open to all possibilities, with that number 8 pick. Like I said, whether it's trading back or whether it's staying there and picking somebody. So we're definitely not going to box ourselves in. I think no matter how good this roster can ever get, you can never be satisfied. You always got to be hungry and always looking for ways to be innovative and getting better. I think as long as you're getting to the final answer that's, going to give us the best player and come to the best solution, then that's what you have to do. We're really just looking what is going to make our team the best team, and, which player that we add to our roster is going to make a bigger difference. So that's the way we look at everything.
Not only did Dan Morgan say that they're open to pretty much any position, but he said they are definitely open to trading back with the potential of getting more picks.
It only takes one team to fall in love with a player, so a team could fall in love with a player and decide they want to trade up with us and go get their guy. So, I really don't look at it like that. I just look at it as, a team's just may really love a guy. So we'll be waiting if somebody wants to come up. I think we're definitely open to trading back and acquiring more picks. I think we're going to be open to all possibilities, let's put it that way.
Dan Morgan also did say that they were very happy with what they were able to do during free agency, which also does add some of the holes that they were looking to fill on this Panthers roster heading into the next year. But Thursday will be the first round of the NFL draft, and we're going to have, of course, all the coverage right here on WCNC. At Bank of America Stadium, Danielle Stein, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, so we'll just speculate for another week. What's going to happen? What's Coach Canales going to do? It's going to be very exciting. It always gives us some optimism, though, right, on draft night. Speaking of sports, also what's happening, not next Thursday, actually this weekend. If you haven't heard, Salute to Heroes. They have a special event coming up this Saturday at Bojangles Coliseum. It is law enforcement, first responders. They're going head to head. They're going to take the ice. They had a practice yesterday. And this foundation, they do such great work for responders, first responders. They help them out, families of the fallen, folks who are in need, in case they're victims to their own fire or kind of a first response situation. They also need help. And if you were with us earlier this week, Monday, I spoke to CMPD officer Mike Giglio. Not only is he playing on the team this Saturday, but he was one of the officers involved in that deadly ambush almost a year ago that happened in East Charlotte, and he spoke to some of the recovery efforts, his own healing. Very honest with us. Appreciated that conversation. A little bit more of a conversation though yesterday, because now he is getting ready to hit the ice, and he spoke to that yesterday to our crew on scene. Let's bring that to you live here on WCNC Plus.
So, just jumping right into things, this is the 17th year, but this year is a little bit more special with the cause. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so as I'm sure you're aware, April 29th was a terrible day for CMPD, law enforcement around the world. This year, being able to get out here and play and honor those, it's a great feeling to be here and being able to honor those and raise money for any future events that hopefully don't happen, but if they do, there's a foundation that can help the families out.
And so is this your first year participating, or?
This is my third year.
Third year.
Yeah, I played since I got on to the department.
And so to see the amount of people come out here to support and to raise money and awareness for the cause, just what does that do for you specifically?
So a lot of times law enforcement, you get both sides. You get those that support and those that don't. So being able to be in an environment where everyone's supporting you and other first responders, it's a great ambiance. It's a great feeling, and we have a lot of fun with it.
And then so, of course, the 1 year is coming up. Is there anything that will be done here that's special for you and for the other officers? Or?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know anything that they're doing behind the scenes. I do know that we have some special made pucks this year, but I really don't know anything that's going to be happening.
And so what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to the crowd, seeing people, knowing that they're here supporting us, fire, medic, sheriff's office, and any other first responders. It's a good feeling to be around people that support you and what you do every day.
Okay. Does this give some kind of normalcy back to you coming out and doing this so close to that age? Does this make it feel normal?
Oh, I'm sorry. Say it one more time.
Does it make it feel normal for you getting back on the ice after that time, back in April? Does this bring some normalcy for you?
I don't think normal is the right word for it. It's a good environment to be in, just having that support. I don't think normal would be the right word for it, but I'm not going to dive any deeper into that.
Okay. Anything else you want to add? Awesome.
Good.
Thank you.
No, you're good.
Much.
All right, I want to get you out to Polk County, Florida, because the sheriff there is speaking on the arrest of a teacher now for inappropriate behavior and voyeurism. Let's listen in here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Me and sex, and the locker room is a perfect place because there's no cameras here. And she said, hey, I don't want you to talk to me like that. And he continued to talk about this. Now, while she's working, the zipper breaks. And he immediately says, well, let me help you, and unzips her hoodie. Well, she's not wearing a shirt underneath the hoodie, so she immediately asked him for a t-shirt out of one of the boxes where she's been working. And he's wanting to help her, and she says, no, I'm good. And she goes to another room in order to take the hoodie off, put the t-shirt on. When she looks around, he's standing behind her, and he comments about how pretty her bra is. Now, he has touched her, he's unzipped the hoodie, he's seen her in her bra. She leaves. He goes to the principal later in the day and said, hey, I need to get something off of my chest. He said, we were down at the PE facilities, the locker room area. She was doing some work, her zipper broke on her hoodie. I helped fix the zipper, but that's all. I was just helping her, nothing wrong. In the meantime, our victim goes home and tells her parents, hey, not only did he talk really, really inappropriate to me and said some really vile, nasty things to me, when my zipper broke, he unzipped my shirt, and I didn't have on, I unzipped my hoodie, and I didn't have on a t-shirt. Parents immediately went to the school. Now, our deputies are school resource deputies for all of the public schools, and we immediately began an investigation when it was brought to our attention. He lawyered up. Isn't that amazing? He lawyered up. He's 31 years of age. He knew better. So as the investigation's progressing, we find 2 other 18-year-old female students who he's also made similar statements to. In fact, one of the 2, he made some outright, outrageous, nasty statements to. Oh, and by the way, he asked them if they wanted to receive community service hours, and he talked about no cameras. The other 2 said, no, we're good. We don't want anything to do with it. So anyway, he's arrested. He's charged as appropriate. But here's my concern. My concern is how many other students, how many other children, teenage girls, has he hit on? And was he able to successfully groom any of them who are now embarrassed and afraid to report it? We need to know that.